I'm Jamie Heineman. You're watching MythBusters.
Coming up, can you get stuck to an airline toilet?
Exposed butt cheek.
There we go. Building a biscuit bazooka.
Oh, no! Wow, that just went everywhere.
The leaping lawyer, fact or fantasy.
Scotty, I need power!
You want more?
More!
Here on MythBusters, we're not just going to retell the legends, we're going to put them to the test.
We're prepared to put our bodies on the line.
Why should you trust these guys? Well, Jamie and Adam have over 30 years in model building, animatronics, and toy prototyping. They can build just about anything, and probably have.
This is M5, my special effects shop. Come on in and have a look around.
If we can't find what we need here, there's always Adam's junk collection.
My cigarette dispenser.
The guys are backed by experts in folklore, crime, medicine, and engineering. And they'll need every trick in the book.
So where do we begin? What do we got? Let's go.
This story involves a large woman, an obese woman.
Flying on an SAS flight from Europe.
And as she was going along, she had to use the restroom.
She flushed it while she was still sitting on the toilet.
And it suctioned her down a little bit, and she was stuck.
And they had to land a plane with her on the toilet.
Where the air flight crews had to come and assist her to get off.
What exactly are we going to need to test this?
We have a vacuum pump that is pretty powerful. We have to create a large female posterior. Posterior, is that how we
Posterior, yes.
Yeah, large, big ass, and we got to hang it over the toilet.
Did you go to art school, Jamie?
And I build real stuff. I don't know how to draw it. I get you know what's what, yeah? Huh?
Yeah, I do. It could also be like a big leg of lamb cooking over a barbecue, though, with gas feed.
That sounds kind of good. We got to rig a means of measuring how much pull down there is. To me, that means a big fish scale. We'll use a forklift. We'll hoist this big ass over the toilet, and we'll with the hanging off the fish scale, we lower it on there, and then we turn the pump on, and then we raise the forklift and see how much suck the thing has before it lets go via the fish scale. And we're going to have to we're going to have to invent one, because that's a pretty big fish. This woman was like I guess it could have been a 300-pounder.
In the aircraft market, we have approximately 13,000 vacuum toilets in operation on a daily basis.
The toilet story broke in early 2001.
First thoughts we had was that this wasn't possible.
After initial confirmation by Scandinavian Airlines, Reuters and the BBC ran the story worldwide on wire and web.
We were quite surprised how much press it did get.
We're at Interface Aviation in Hollister, California.
Oh my God.
Interface Aviation is a aircraft recycling company that acquires aircraft parts from all over the world, and they end up here. I like this. This must be the stairway from a...
Runway 747.
Oh, yeah.
They've got 3.5 acres of used aircraft interiors.
All the paneling, the bathrooms, all the food preparation. Good Lord.
And the toilets.
And the
They've got
toilets.
every kind of toilet that's ever been made for any kind of aircraft, or so it would seem to me.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne, you heard of this legend before this, right?
Oh, everybody's heard of that.
Do you remember what airline you heard it happened on?
No. No. You guys, I know my toilets, but I don't know my legends.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Interface carries two completely different human waste disposal units.
Here's the old style.
Oh, look at that.
It's filled up with blue water, and you can use your own imagination what that water's made of after a while.
Yeah.
The average pressure here is exactly 0
Right.
because you're just recycling out of a common tank.
Right.
The pressure should be 0. But if something, say a hairbrush, gets caught in the outlet valves while the aircraft is at altitude,
Now we're talking.
Okay, you see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
She could generate a differential in pressure.
Yeah,
easily.
the greater pressure inside would actually be trying to push her through the hole.
I hadn't
That's
thought of
a
that.
scenario I
Yeah.
hadn't even thought about, but yes, it could.
Yeah, well, let's see. It doesn't have the lid on it, but
Yeah, what's the cheeks one here? Let's see.
that theory of toilet terror has one problem. It could only happen at altitude.
according to the legend and the information that we have, they said that the woman actually stayed on the toilet until they were on the ground.
Well, that would rule out the pressure differential theory,
Exactly.
wouldn't it?
Exactly.
That leaves this vacuum unit. It has pressure at altitude and on the ground.
So, given the pressure down here, do you think you could get a lock between this and someone could actually get sucked down
I
on there?
really wouldn't even want to venture a guess, but there is a suction, and if you cap that thing, there will be a lock.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
It looks like there is some airspace right here, too. And you said the average pressure there is only 3 psi?
3 is coming to mind.
The vacuum toilet operates at 2 different pressures. On the ground, it operates at approximately 3 psi negative pressure, and at altitude, we operate at 8 psi negative pressure, and that pressure is produced by the differential between inside cabin air and the outside of the aircraft.
This is the one. But at $9,000, it doesn't come cheap.
Ladies and gentlemen, please move in an orderly fashion towards the door of the plane. Cross your hands over your chest and slide down the inflatable slide towards the sharps. Thank you for flying. We hope you'll come back soon. Remember, most of our passengers get there alive.
All right.
One of the biggest problems that I see is that we've got to mimic a woman's butt really well. It has to be nice and fleshy and soft. So we've got to decide on what kind of, it's going to be a rubber of some sort.
Yeah. Well, I've thought of using this rubber that's used in a lot of sex toys because it's very fleshy. It's called hot melt vinyl. I'd like to see a sample of the hot melt vinyl you have. Is this a hot melt?
Yeah, that's the one that's really sticky.
That's the one that I like. This is the one that I want. But we are casting up a really large bottom. And we're going to stick it to an airline toilet seat that we have. So this is actually perfect. This is definitely the stuff. Yeah, it sounds right. I might want to buy as much as 10 gallons.
So that comes in flesh or clear?
Flesh, of course.
Of course, yeah. Set?
Can I try on that butt head?
You'd like to try the butt head?
I would like to try the butt head. Absolutely.
There you are, sir.
Do I have to pull out the... All right. And now the transformation is complete. I come from the planet Butthead. So, how did you have this done?
So that's actually Carrie's butt,
No. Really?
except that we let her modify herself.
Okay, I'm gonna take a shot. Try to hold it as still as possible from now on.
We scanned her butt. It's probably the best shot that you'll ever see of your own butt. And then we took it up to the computer and used the freeform tool to enlarge it and put a lot of cottage cheese thighs in there, you know, the whole thing.
Really looks great. It's a really, really nice...
It really looks great. You like that?
I'm looking forward to spanking it.
I don't like this stuff because the melting temperature on it is real close to its flash point.
A 300-pound butt requires some significant reinforcing.
There's a science to making butts. Think of all the Twinkies that go into the actual production of something like this. We're doing in one night what most people spend a lifetime avoiding.
We'll have to leave the butt to cool for 24 hours.
Hope it works.
We're trying to work out just how much suction an airline toilet really has.
How are you building this strain gauge?
This is what I had in mind. If we have our forklift here and we hook a line onto it, we go down to a pivot point and we have a bar that is on the pivot point. And the bar is longer on this side than the other. We put barbell weights over here. We have another pivot point here that goes down to the butt. And there is our strain gauge.
Jamie's brilliantly improvised one of the oldest measuring devices on Earth, a set of scales.
You feel pretty clever? The other thing is, and this is actually not insignificant, you know, we've made an agreement not to damage this toilet, so we want to mount it in a way that it doesn't...
Yeah, well, it's got mount points, good, strong ones.
We might want to also, I don't know, come up on the sides or somehow do some other stuff to it to make sure that it doesn't strain here. I mean, this is definitely welded stainless.
Well, that's why these things cost so much, is that it's all done to high specifications. I mean, look at the welds on these things. It's a perfect little...
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
When we've finished admiring it, we better get on with finding something to make it suck.
I've got one of those things that I believe pushes pneumatics around in the stores when you put you want to get change in a big department store. You know, those
really?
little,
You got one of those?
Yeah.
The vacuum? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Our pump generates just 3 psi. That's 3 pounds per square inch of exposed butt.
What is this? This is about 13 inches by 15 inches. So 150 times, what did we say, 3 psi?
Let's say 3 psi, 450.
That's 450 pounds.
Pounds of pull.
Yeah.
So if we had a perfect seal on this with a rubber gasket and everything, it would take 450 pounds to remove it just from a 3 psi.
And you could see how a woman wouldn't be able to get off.
Absolutely,
from there.
yeah.
She'd have one big hickey.
Big butt hickey. That's going to be hard to explain.
Things are coming together at last.
That's okay.
I think it actually came out pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm not displeased.
Before the experiment can begin, we have to balance the butt. Jamie's using a 4-to-1 ratio, 300 pounds of butt balanced against 75 on the pivot arm.
Okay, guys, we got some serious weight going on here, so never stand under anything at all. Keep your eye on what's going on. We don't know how much weight it's going to take before it rips.
So we're going to turn on the pump. We're going to lower the butt into place. We'll see if we get any pressure on this. We'll let it take weight, and we'll slowly start to raise and see how much poundage it takes to remove Bertha from the toilet.
Sounds like a plan.
Contact.
If the butt creates a seal, we should see a jump in vacuum pressure.
Okay, should I bring it up?
We're still measuring around 3 psi. The toilet seat is preventing us from making a seal.
I think it's much more plausible that she sat down without putting that seat down.
Okay, that's easy to test. That's better.
That's
the seal, but it's not taking that much pressure.
We'll pull the plug and see if we can rethink this.
Well, we're getting a significant amount of suction out of the toilet, and the needle was bouncing more without the toilet seat on. And checking all the way around, we had a reasonable seal, but that air gap between the shroud and the bowl just prevented any real suction from occurring.
This myth's starting to look decidedly shaky. These two lugs under the shroud have been preventing an airlock from forming.
I believe myself that the toilets are designed to, to not seal.
Right.
Adam can sniff a conspiracy.
Do you think they put that in after the myth, like as a response?
No.
Personally, I think we might want to try it without the shroud, just to see if there's actually enough suction, if there was a seal.
Okay, contact. Down we come.
All right, bring it on down.
However unlikely, we want to cover the possibility that the victim's butt was so large it reached down and made contact with the bowl.
That's as good a seal as we get.
Okay, Terry, lower the weight.
Time to measure the suction.
All right, here we go.
Go! Keep going, all the way up. There was this whole butt cheek right here. This whole butt cheek was distended about another 3 inches down. The whole butt was deformed. She's got a hell of a hickey. We got a really good seal on the butt crack in that last one. There was a little bit of that it didn't want to give at first when you lifted, but it didn't take very much.
Yeah, I saw what I was watching what the measurement on this was.
The toilet was generating 450 pounds of suction, but the scale shows it would take a fraction of that to break the seal.
75 pounds.
Yeah. So, well, that
and that's lifting straight up. I mean, that's just, I'd say a woman this large, I mean, she'd be able to, pull a cheek or move herself around a little bit and release the gap. I mean, we're talking, if someone really couldn't do that, we're talking someone maybe even twice this large. And then I'm not even sure they could fit in an airplane toilet.
Yeah, I would agree.
What's more, a properly functioning toilet creates suction for just 2 seconds.
If something were to go inside the bowl and get stuck inside of there, the pressure is probably about twice as much as a normal shop vac that you would have at your home. As you can see, there's no damage to a person's hand if they do put it inside the bowl. And really all you do is get wet.
Myth busted. And we're prepared to stake Adam's butt on it.
Contact.
All right, here we go. Whoa! All right. That's actually comfortable. I mean, it's a nice cool breeze.
So, are you ready to try it, the real deal?
Sure.
All right. Now, what if you're hurt? Like, what if this starts to feel uncomfortable?
I'll take it gradually. If I feel things moving around that shouldn't be moving,
all right.
I'll disconnect.
Because I can't hear you terribly well in there when I turn
You'll
the
hear
switch.
the high pitched squealing.
All right, contact.
All right. Exposed butt cheek. There we go. All right. Holy shit. All right, that's significant. Oh my gosh! Oh wow, that was really significant. That was All right. That was impressively significant amount of suction. The whole thing was vibrating with the pressure. We got up to 5 psi. Yeah, that was significant. I I'm trying to talk scientifically. I was able to use my arms, but if I didn't have arms, I would not probably have been able to free myself. I'm not sure what we proved here, but at least it's good television. Another one bites the dust. Good work.
This next legend involves, is called the Biscuit bullet, and it's actually pretty funny.
The way I heard it, the sister of a friend went to the supermarket.
And it was on a very hot day, and she hears this loud explosion behind her.
And when she heard the pop and felt this sticky mass in the back of her head, she thought she'd been shot.
And so she better just kind of hold still and try and hold her brains from falling out of her head until the paramedics get there.
And when the paramedics pry the woman's fingers off the back of her head, they find that she's hanging on to this mass of raw biscuit dough.
So what do you think we're going to need for this experiment?
Well, we're going to need some biscuit dough of a bunch of these canisters of different sizes or different types and brands. So we've got to get a car.
We can use my car to do this. I would think that we'd want to duplicate the car's interior temperature by, say, pointing heaters into the windows.
Can we build a fire under your car? Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely. That's no problem at all. We would want to get the temperature stable in the car and then move the biscuits right in and start the timer and see how long it takes them to go off. All right, so you want to go to the grocery store and pick up a selection of these? And I'll pull in my car and the heaters and start preparing stuff?
Sure.
Step 1 in our recipe, getting the dough.
I'm guessing that the different mixes, like you got your flaky biscuits and you got your, super duper buttermilk whatevers, there are going to be some differences in those things.
It may be that there's, a certain amount of baking soda in one as opposed to another that would make it more prone to, building that high pressure.
The tins are meant to be refrigerated, so we'll keep them in a cooler until the experiment begins.
I had an idea that, it's not only the car's temperature, but potentially the freshness of the biscuits that might have contributed to their exploding. To that end, we've had this one out for 10 days. And we'll put that in our, as one of our control groups to see if it explodes faster.
Step 2, mounting the tins in the car.
I was thinking just in terms of being able to get a reasonable spread, maybe a rack of 6.
Maybe for fun we should make a thing like
a holster.
A holster like shotgun shells, like you're nobody moves, nobody gets hurt.
Right, wearing it under your vest when going through airport security.
Step 3, determining the right baking temperature.
So it's a rare sunny day in San Francisco. The skies look really clear and it's 9 on the nose. We're gonna place a thermometer in my car. We're gonna check back in a couple of hours and see where we can get the temperature to.
It's no coincidence that the biscuit bullet story first started making the rounds in the summer of '95, one of the hottest summers on record.
So it's about 3 o'clock. The car's been sitting out here all day with the thermometer in it. Temperature's hovering right around 140 degrees.
To ensure a consistent baking temperature, we're going to bring the car inside and heat it artificially.
So Adam, let's load this thing.
Okay. I'm hoping we see a pretty significant change in the heat kind of fast.
Well, it ought to. These are radiant heaters, so it's this is like the pure form of what the sun gives, as far as just what actually heats it up.
So, do you have the thermometer? I'll get the timer. We're up to 105.8. It's looking good. Maybe another 15 or 20 minutes. It's going to be hot in there. I don't know if you want to sit in the car, wait for the biscuit dough, or if I sit in the car, maybe we take turns.
All right.
I think from about a foot away, it's totally safe for us to, be able to be the subjects in the car. I wouldn't load my shorts full of these things in a hot car.
That's a scary thought.
Remember that one about CDs melting in the heat?
It might still work.
It's not a myth.
It's starting to smell really strong of like almost burning plastic in there, so I don't think either of us should sit in there. I made up a rack just to put the head in. All right?
You mean you don't want to get hot is what you're saying?
You can go climb in there, but it's
pretty stinky.
You can suffocate.
120 degrees. Time to get baking.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Leading brand flaky. Leading brand buttermilk. Competitor flaky. Competitor buttermilk. Unrefrigerated. Small tin. And the clock is ticking. I'll say within 8 minutes.
2 hours, maybe 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Do I lose if I go over, or if it's closer to 8 minutes than 2 hours? So we're saying 8 minutes or 120 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. I'll put $1 down on that. Put it on the card.
All right.
Now we wait?
Now we wait.
All right. Can we see any physical change in them?
No, I don't see any change in them. Your dashboard's starting to melt, though.
I've been working in this area for about 30 years. I've never heard of this type of thing happening, but as you think about it, you've got the potential there. Because if you have enough heat, the pressure that's created by the gas inside can cause that container to pop.
Do you think the flakies are going to go first or the buttermilks?
The small one's going to go first because it has less mass. It's going to take at least probably a half an hour for the interior of those things to show hardly any change in temperature, much less enough to
heat to work through.
Yeah, I mean it's too much mass.
It's still going to be way less than 120 minutes.
We'll find out.
The leavening agent is sodium bicarbonate, and it is reacting with an acid to produce carbon dioxide, CO2. If it is not released, you're going to create pressure in that container to the point where, as the reaction continues, that container can burst.
Whoa! Jamie,
What?
do you know what happened?
What?
It jumped out of the rack. That's the small
Oh.
can that was in the rack. It jumped out of the rack and into my cup holder.
I'll be darned. And so where was our clock? Where were we at?
We were at like 58 minutes on the nose.
So you won the bet then.
Ah, yeah, in fact, I did. I'd like
So
to
you won
remove
the
that
bet.
one before it bakes dough into my cup holder.
Although I was right about which one was going to go first.
You were absolutely right. Whoa! That was kind of spectacular. I mean, we're missing a whole tin. I don't even see it in there.
Adam, which tin was it?
That was the unrefrigerated. That was the unrefrigerated flaky dough. Well, now, there you go. I mean, it blew the top right off of that thing. That was the unrefrigerated leading brand. I mean, this is stupefyingly boring, but, you know, things are blowing up in my car. What could be better, right? I can wait for that. I just want to see one. I don't want to have to review the videotape. I want to actually see one blow. Whoa!
It's 137 degrees right now.
Well, that seems to be the butter zone. I mean, everything's happened above 133 degrees.
That was the competitor's dough. It's not proving to be any more or less explosive than the leading brand.
We should do this in Vegas, and then we can say, I went to Vegas and I blew some dough. Oh, that's a spectacular one. Whoa. Ooh. Oh, man. I definitely could understand how you'd mistake this for brains. Here.
What do I know?
come
I'm
on.
not going to do
Come on.
anything with it.
Well, no, feel it. Feel it. Agree with me.
Yeah, it's definitely brains. Whoa!
What, did another one go?
I saw that.
No.
Yeah.
Did it look
it's all
cool?
over. Yeah, it's that one spewed.
Oh, man.
That one spewed pretty good.
That tin is just like
That one
decimated.
No, that one was pretty energetic. I saw what it like ricocheted off the back of your seat. Like
really?
Yeah, and you can see bits of it. See that little speck that's left there?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That might be our smoking gun.
The guys thought there might be a difference between flaky and buttermilk. Seems they're wrong again.
That's cool. 208 minutes at 140.5 degrees. Oh, no! Wow. That just went everywhere. I mean, I just saw it vaporize. Look, it's in the front seat.
Yeah, the whole can landed in the front seat.
The whole can landed in the front seat, which means it had to come across this way, easily hitting the head.
Yes, there can be accidents, but I've never heard of an accident like this. I wouldn't worry about being hurt. I may have a premature bursting of my container, but I wouldn't worry about wounds from shrapnel from my dough. Of course, I don't leave my groceries in a car at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher anyway, because there are other problems we can run into with food products and microorganisms.
There you go.
I mean, I think we've definitively proved that this is entirely not only plausible but possible.
Yeah. We've
under
seen,
the right circumstances.
We've seen projectiles come out, like actual biscuits.
Yeah, that one
entirely.
fired almost 3 feet.
Yeah, this one's kind of like a biscuit cannon,
Yeah.
like a mortar.
Exactly. I think without a doubt a can of biscuit dough has exploded in somebody's car. I mean, in a hot car, a can of biscuit dough will go off within 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
This is something of a first for MythBusters. We can show the myth is physically possible, but there's no hard evidence that it ever happened.
I tried to track it down. I tried to find the friend of the friend. I couldn't do it. I tried to find the location where it actually happened. I couldn't. I looked for police reports. There were none. And the truth is, this didn't happen. There was no woman so stupid that she thought she was holding raw dough on her head. And that's kind of nice to know.
All right, ready? Ready. Okay, you're watching MythBusters. So the falling lawyer, what's the story?
Well, the story goes that there was a lawyer on the 24th floor of a high-rise.
He was showing off his masculinity and his bravery in front of some kind of class.
He'd bounced up against this plate glass window, maybe trying to, have some fun.
And he did it repeatedly and had no problems.
And then he did it again, and this time he simply went through.
And down this guy goes, falling 24 floors from his office to the ground, and he promptly dies.
Our task is to prove whether this is possible or not.
So what are the elements we're going to need to replicate this?
Well, we're going to need a pane of glass. We've got to build a mock-up body. We have to create some sort of a track and a means of loading this dummy body. We'll probably use some. I've got a bunch of surgical rubber tubing that we can make a big slingshot.
Okay.
And we'll have to also rig various ways of measuring, so we're consistent about it. How much force we're putting on him.
Right. I mean, the figure we want to come up with is whether or not it's possible for a person running at a reasonable clip into the window has enough pounds of force behind him to actually break the window.
The first reaction is complete disbelief, and then the second reaction is, well, I heard that happened in New York or Moscow or Hong Kong or something like that. It's just one of those stories that seems to have kind of gone around the world. With stories like that, you never really know if they're true. You never know if the kernel at the core is real or not.
First, we need to decide what kind of track it is, whether we want. I'm thinking that we should roll it along the ground kind of track rather
Well, you've
than
got
hang
that. You've got the great the dolly track with the skateboard wheels.
Okay.
That's got a really low friction. I've only broken one bone in my body. My neck.
So, how to build a lawyer? We're going to assume that this guy wasn't a fat cat. We'll make him, say, 160 pounds.
Well, they're going to be about, call them 20 pounds apiece.
They're 20 pounds each, so it's going to be it's going to be 8. Now I'm about to weld a steel frame that'll hold up the sandbags to distribute their mass roughly like a person's body.
These wooden blocks will stop our lawyer from falling backwards when he accelerates, but he'll be free to fall when the cart stops at the end of the track.
Hey.
On to the next task, finding the right pane of glass. Something that would be suitable for the 24th floor of a skyscraper.
It's normally a thickness, which is greater than the thickness that you see in house glass. You're talking about 6 millimeter or 10 millimeter.
At 3/4 of an inch, this 4-foot by 8-foot pane seems to be the standard size.
So we successfully have a piece of glass for the falling lawyer. Thanks.
I think I'll build the frame out of just plywood, and we'll seal it up with some caulk, just like you would in an aquarium. And we may want to we'll put the tempered glass in the front. Look at that.
Ready?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, could have counted 3.
Glass comes in sealed units, and they're set into recesses in frames, so that they're supported around the total perimeter usually.
Our frame won't just support the glass, it'll also allow us to reproduce some of the forces at work inside tall buildings.
And then we also have to think of things like, if there's pressure in the building, or that would either tend to, make things different.
Unfortunately, the myth doesn't describe the weather on the day in question. So we're going to assume that it was calm. But even then, air pressure is at work.
Inside of a building, there's a lot of things happening. There's mechanical equipment which is exhausting air, and there's mechanical equipment which is pushing air into the building. And if you don't get the same amount of air going out as you're pushing in, then you start to build up pressures within the building.
This stack effect is just 1.47 pounds per square inch. But we think that's going to be crucial.
Because the glass has, it's like 4,600 square inches, the amount of force, there's not much of a...
Yeah, well, you wouldn't think so, but it's a funny thing about pressures like that. When you're thinking in terms of PSIs and so on, it adds up. Even a very small fraction of a PSI times 4,600 starts to get into, 1,000 pounds.
Oh, right, across the whole face of the glass.
Yeah.
So it could have played a significant factor in the windows breaking on that particular day.
4,600 pounds of pressure is definitely something we want to factor in.
So that means that our frame, that the window's going in, actually has to be a
like
chamber.
A pressure chamber.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. We'll seal it off in the back, and we'll hook a vacuum or a pressure pump up to it.
Jamie doesn't have a pump large enough to increase the air pressure in the shop. Instead, he'll reproduce the stack effect by sucking air out of the chamber.
What I think we should do with this thing is, because there is so much pressure here and we don't know what we're doing, we don't want to explode the glass. I figure we'd just roll it over the orifice, and just kind of watch the needle, and we can either mess with the valve or not. But that way, if we seal it off and we turn this thing on, even if we have the valve,
bust the whole thing.
Yeah. So this way, we'll be leaving ourselves an opening.
Go ahead.
this pump is too powerful. It's threatening to rip the plexiglass out of the chamber. And our vacuum gauge isn't sensitive enough.
You know what I think we should do is that we should just rig our own gauge in terms of inches of water. I believe inches of water is going to be a lot more sensitive than inches of mercury because it's a lot lighter than what mercury is. I mean, it's literally, we put a tube in there, like a U-shaped tube. It's just like a barometer at home. And that's the kind of scale that we're dealing with is like, you know, barometric pressure.
Right.
It'll be an interesting thing for us to know. We just, with a tube of water, we'll get all the sensitivity we want.
All right.
So it should be about 4 inches of water for the minimum.
No. Oh, yeah, you're right. So you're right. That's magnificent.
We've rigged this leaf blower to suck. Hooked up to a variable switch, it should also be easier on the plexiglass.
Armadillo. There we go. All right. You want it? Okay. I'll tell you when we're, let's see here.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful. We got sensitivity, baby. Keep going. A little more. Scotty, I need power.
You want more?
More. More. 3 inches of water. Yes. Little more. Ah, that's it.
Is that it?
That's it. 0.145 negative PSI.
We've proved the principle. Now, with the addition of some glass tube, a scale, and food dye, we have a working gauge.
Mr. Savage, if I could suggest that you put a drop of the coloring in there first.
No, I was thinking I'd put it in after and then I'd go and mix it up. I thought that would be kind of cool.
Ah, okay.
With the stack effect problem solved, it's time to rig the slingshot.
I won't let go. Oh, man.
So,
it's like,
you know, it'll develop some velocity.
that's really satisfying and kind of dangerous.
And we'll rig our slingshot somehow on, you know, we can tie to the side of the shop or something like that.
So I was thinking to figure out his velocity, to figure out how fast he's traveling, we don't have a radar gun or anything like that. I was thinking we could take some flats and actually grid them.
Okay.
And then shoot from the side with one of the cameras, which give us, 25 frames per second. And then we can, slow-mo through the tape. We can frame by frame through the tape and see exactly how fast that he's traveling.
Finally, everything's in place.
There we go. 3 yards, that's my bet.
I'll guess that it's going to go 5 yards.
5 yards? This would be cool if I could see.
There we go.
Look at that. All right, first run from 1 yard. Nothing. 3 yards. Here's my $5 going to hell. Penalty, 5 yards.
160 pounds at 3 miles per hour. Our lawyer just isn't cutting the mustard.
We got 1 more yard.
I think we're going to end up going to 2 bands. What do you think?
I think we're going to end up going to 2 bands too.
We ready?
Ready? All right. 2 yards. Go. 3 yards. Go.
Even with 2 elastic bands, our lawyer is still coming off second best.
This is contacting here, and all of this is bowing backwards.
Right.
And as this comes in for a second, and then, so it really is, all these things aren't really making contact.
5 yards. There we go. Whoa! All right.
Okay.
There. Are you ready?
Ready, and
2, 3, go!
it is possible that it's not possible for a person to throw himself through the window.
Entirely plausible, but
We will make it through this
I
window.
want to make it through the glass.
But it may not be possible for a human to do that by himself.
I'm Bruce Tamara. I'm a reporter at the Toronto Star, and you're watching MythBusters.
So far, we haven't had much success getting our lawyer friend to smash the glass. But Jamie's working on a hunch.
I'd be inclined to put all the steel bags or all the sandbags up high.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, starting
Just-
here.
yeah.
You know, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Redistributing the weight up high will concentrate the impact.
Something like...
Meanwhile, our structural engineer is working on a different theory.
Glass is an unpredictable material. And although we use it and we see it performing very well in thousands of cases, there are certain things which will cause it to act in a way we don't expect.
All right, so this is 1 yard. 2, 3, go. Just getting a hammer.
If there's nicks in glass, it tends to cause what are called stress razors. And so you can break the glass with less force than you would a piece of glass that isn't nicked.
2 yards. 1, 2, 3, go. That seems better.
It's feeling pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
Probably 1,000 times, nothing will happen. But you're dealing with a very brittle material, and it doesn't give you any warning. It doesn't bend like steel. It doesn't bow like wood. It just goes kapump, and then you're out on the street.
3 yards. Ready?
Ready.
2, 3, go. Yeah! That was spectacular.
It worked.
It did, from 3 yards. I won myself $5. Wow. Yeah, the distribution of mass made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Listen to it. It's like Rice Krispies. That speed seems, you know, we'll look at it on camera, but that didn't look too fast to run at all.
Yeah,
That
it wasn't
looked
excessive.
very reasonable.
And
160 pounds up on the torso
Yeah.
into a window with negative pressure. Nice. Yeah, that's not that far at all.
Our lawyer covered 10 feet in 1.8 seconds, which works out at 5.7 miles per hour.
You jump like the bat landed in your hair, dude. Even if it's double, the 7 miles per hour is well within a human's ability to run. And it seems totally possible with that pressure that he could have broken the window.
I'd agree. It looked like probably the kind of speed I'd get up to if I was lunging at the wall. You know?
Yeah, especially with only 3 yards of start. You know, it's only 9 feet. You can't really get up that fast. I think the final thing was that redistribution of the mass up top. I think that made all the difference.
Yeah.
I think the other rig was flexing way too much.
This is absolutely a true story. It happened at this location, at this office tower behind us. The coroner who investigated the incident decided not to hold an inquest because it was such a freak accident, and it would be extremely rare to imagine someone else doing the same thing purposefully.
That was fun?
Yeah, that was fun. I like breaking things.
Yeah, breaking things is cool.
Yeah!